this. Really quick, I'm just going to run down a list. Guest number 50, of course, was Tommy the Hitman Hearns, and we're going to run up to 99. But listen to these names, guys. Ricardo Lamas, Barb Honchak, Mike Richmond, Michael Chavello, Darren Elkins, Sean Wheelock, France Stebbins, Rich Hale, David Shepard, Doug Lima, Jorge Rivera, Eric Poling, Kevin Randleman, Chuck Peretz, Jason Muggs, Kathy Long, Sean Ammons, Matt Bissett. Boy, there's a lot of them. James McSweeney, Miss Tapout, Jennifer Swift, Eric Coleman, Mukai Moromo, Scott Zerg, David Rickles, Jamie Yeager, Michelle Watterson, Felix Vega, Antonio Carvalho, Brian, Mr. Unbreakable Warren, Tim Smith, Dennis Davis from Extreme Couture, Matt Brown, Darren Cruikshank, Ramsey Najem, Bert Watson, the babysitter to the stars. Bert was such an awesome guy. Miles Jury, Nate Williams, Greg Nelson, Greg Keister, Don Richards, Gokar Chavichian, Sam Alvey, Don Fry, Judo, Gene LaBelle, Elvis Mutapchich, Todd Monaghan, and, of course, the Maniac Tim Sylvia. And then tonight we spoke with CEO of Maximum Fighting Championships, Mark Pavelich. We just also heard from Benny Urquidez, and again tonight we had Ricardo Lamas on the show. And now, for our 100th guest to Uncensored MMA Online Radio, we have none other than Randy the Natural Couture. Randy, how are you tonight, man?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Wow, doing awesome, and thanks for hanging out and listening to me ramble all that stuff off. Appreciate it.
Pleasure, man. You guys have been busy.
Oh, man, we've been working our ass off, man. It's been a blast. I mean, I'm just a cab driver by trade. I drive a cab 60 hours a week. And on Monday nights, my off night, I get a chance to talk to the best in the business. And well, right now, I've got the best UFC heavyweight champion, light heavyweight champ ever. And that's you, the Natural, baby. So how are you tonight, man?
I'm good. Very good. Thank you.
Sweet.
Well,
I want to say thanks for taking the time to join the show tonight. And as always, hanging out with me is my co-host. I wanted to bring him in and introduce him. His name is Dave the Butcher Clifford. Dave, you hanging out, man?
Yeah, man. I'm just sitting here welcoming Randy Couture to the show, our 100th guest. Thank you for coming on tonight, sir. It's a pleasure to be talking to you.
Thanks. My pleasure.
Well, Randy, just to get things...
Go right
ahead, Dave. I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to say, everybody, anybody can look up and see what you've done and where you've come. I mean, you're one of the few people in any sport who has made your name a brand. You know what I mean? It is synonymous with excellence and hard work and titles and great fighters, and is one of the top gyms in the nation, in the world. Some of the best coaches teach there. Some of the best fighters fight out of there. Now that obviously you don't compete anymore, but you've got to be very involved with the gym. What is Randy Couture doing lately? I've noticed that you've picked it up on Facebook. There's a lot more posts, a lot more interaction. Why don't you tell us what's happening in your world?
Yeah, I'm doing very, very well. Obviously, the gym's doing great. We've got an amazing group of guys that train in there, and a great staff that keeps that place going. You mentioned Dennis Davis. Dennis has been doing a fantastic job with the amateur team and running the pro practices now, and he's just really stepped up. Is one of the solid instructors in there. We've got a whole plethora of guys: Neil Melanson, Tim Lane, just a whole group of amazing guys that are fun to be around and fun to work with. I've been focusing a lot on more acting jobs. Obviously, Expendables 2 did very, very well. I've been getting some more movie stuff going, and I just finished a movie with Dolph Lundgren and Vinnie Jones in December, just before Christmas. I've got another one coming up in March with Scott Adkins that I'm excited about, kind of a psycho thriller. It's going to be a lot of fun. Shooting that one up in Vancouver, British Columbia, and it looks like Expendables 3 is going to kick off and start shooting here in August, so it's keeping me hopping.
And you're staying busy too, man. Shoot.
It's certainly better than being bored.
No doubt. A question I had was about your son Ryan. He's got a great MMA career ahead of him. And I just wanted to know, how active are you in Ryan's training, and what's it looking like getting him over to the UFC and getting him signed and getting a fight?
Well, I believe his contract transfers over to the UFC now that they've folded up Strikeforce.
Good.
So, you know, that last Strikeforce card in Oklahoma City was a fun card. Big step up for Ryan in competition, beating KJ Noons in a split decision. Probably I thought the best fight of the night. But
yeah,
I mean,
really
it's a little partial.
No, I agree.
Right.
I agree. that fight delivered because Noons is no slouch, and a lot of people sleep on him. And to see Ryan beat him, you know, I thought pretty soundly, was awesome, and he put up a good fight.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun to watch, and it's been the last 3 camps that I've been in, you know, really kind of involved in helping Ryan kind of plan his camps and peak and kind of develop game plans. And he's done 3 back-to-back camps. One has built off the next, and I think you're seeing that when he steps in there and fights now. He's really improved a ton. Tim Lane works with him diligently on his striking, and his footwork and the combinations of things that he's throwing are very, very good. And he's always been a pretty slick submission guy. He's been working with Neil for a couple of years, and probably a way better submission guy than I ever was. And so it's been fun to watch him develop.
Well, and to watch Ryan develop as a fighter, you know, with the experience that you have in your past and where you came from, I mean, there's nobody else better to have in your corner and in coaching you. I know I last asked, you know, fighters if they want their kids to follow in their footsteps, and obviously Ryan is. I mean, obviously you want to see a title contention for Ryan, but, you know, what are you looking for in the next fight or two for Ryan, you know, coming from the UFC? If he makes it there, is there anybody in line that you might like to see him fight?
I haven't really analyzed it. You know, it's only been a couple of weeks since the Noons fight. Ryan's just back into the gym, training again. We really have to look at, you know, it's a much deeper pool of fighters in the UFC at 155 than Strikeforce had. So we'll kind of take a look at it and see who they offer up and where they want to send him, what they want to do with him, and try to make a decision based on that. But I don't think Ryan isn't one of those guys that has a hit list, and I think he's, you know, all about. He's a diligent kid. He's a very smart kid. So he's taking his time. He'll take the fights, you know, that they present him, and you know, he just continues to progress and just you know, has a passion for it, which is what you want to see.
Well, and you want to say that apple didn't fall far from the tree because you never really had a history of calling out people or running your mouth. You just went in there and did work. You're very blue collar. You know, a lot of fans here in the Midwest. We're big Randy Couture fans. You know, in fact, honestly, I'm pretty new to the sport myself. You know, just doing this show, and I've been involved in the business for about 5 years now, doing backroom work and amateur shows and pro-ams and stuff. And the only thing I ever heard about, you know, before that was like Randy Couture. Those are the names that would come out. You know, you'd hear maybe a little bit about Chuck Liddell. So, I mean, like I said, it's been. What is it like to build a brand like that? Is it? Do you just have a great time everywhere you go? Because you really seem to always be smiling in fan photos. Everybody always says you wait around till the last person leaves. I mean, do you believe that's a big part of your success? Well,
I feel like I've been very fortunate to have had the career I've had and been able to make a living as an athlete. And you know, I think no small thing in today's society to be a professional athlete. And I think one of the cool things about mixed martial arts is the approachability of the fighters. You know, not a lot of other professional sports or sporting events you're going to go to where you're going to be sitting right there, you know, in the row of seats next to, you know, some of the top names in a sport. It doesn't happen in basketball. You're not going to see that in the NFL or a lot of other professional sports. So I've always felt like that was something that we did that was special, and why our fans are so in love with the sport and will do anything for the athletes and for the sport. And I think the fan expos and all the things that have been put on the last few years have been a huge tribute to that relationship that we have with the fan base. And I hope that's something that never changes. You know, the guys are going to start making more and more money. I hope that doesn't change the attitude and the approachability that we have as mixed martial artists.
Well, and that's one thing I've noticed with – I'm sorry, Dave.
Go ahead.
The one thing I've noticed with doing this show is the fighters, as we talk to them, they're just so easy to talk to. Guys that I've watched on TV for the last 20 years, you know, I'm almost intimidated when I get the opportunity to talk to them, but I find that they're just regular guys just like me, and, you know, once we get to talking, we have a great time, and that's what I really, really dig about the sport as well. It's a great asset to help this thing grow. But, Randy, you had mentioned Dennis Davis a little earlier, working with your amateur team. A former guest of ours, Hansel Aquino, I know he trains out there with you guys. If I'm not mistaken, you cornered him for his first fight. I just wanted to get your thoughts on that kid and, where his career's headed.
You know, he's doing a great job. Dennis does an amazing job coaching those guys and kind of leading them, and they're very dedicated. You know, a lot of those guys have day jobs and are really kind of burning at both ends, carve out time in their days to get in the gym, and Ansel's one of those guys that he's paying the price. He's making the sacrifices he needs to be making to be a successful professional fighter, and I think he's going to be one of those guys that we see get there.
Tough kid. I think that ties right into what we were just talking about the accessibility and the humility of people who participate in martial arts and combat sports of a lot of different kinds, really. I think that you're not going to see it change because to excel and to be great at this sport, I'm learning at least, you know, having not participated, but by being around so many people at so many different levels, to be great, you have to be humble. To be a good martial artist, you have to be a humble person that appreciates when someone reaches out to you and shows you love. And that's what the bottom line is. No matter what reason we have, all of us have a passion for this, for whatever the reason is. You know, it's because we love what we're doing. We love the competition. We like the fact that people are challenging themselves and doing it in front of us. And I don't think you'll see that change because of the fact, I mean, look at you. I mean, you're one of the biggest names in the country. You know, now you're a movie star at this point, and you're still talking to two guys from the middle of the country. One of them sitting in his Chevrolet, the other one's on his couch, man. You know, that's what this is about. It's pretty sweet.
That's awesome.
You know, I mean, really, that don't you think? I mean, that humility, isn't that what you see in people that are successful? I mean, look at all the champions in the UFC. For all the people that run their mouths and make good interviews, all the champions are humble people that don't just run off and, say crazy things, you know, much as we like the Diaz brothers.
Well, I think for all intents and purposes, most of the guys that compete in this combative sport could be the guy next door. And you know, I think we've overcome the stigmas that have attached to the sport early, that we're somehow dangerous or crazy people to get in a cage and compete. But, you know, everybody in our society is a fighter in some way, shape, or form. You're fighting to survive. You're fighting temptations and the things that get thrown at us in life. And so I think that there's something about being a fighter that the average people can relate to, and we are average people as well. This is just how we choose to express ourselves and what we love to do. And I sincerely hope it doesn't ever change. And I agree with you. I don't think it will. I think it's something that's indigenous to a one-on-one combative sport. When you walk out there by yourself in that arena and compete, we've all had our butts handed to us on occasion. On any given day, you could be the windshield or the bug, and that puts you in a unique place.
Don't want to be the bug, man. Well, Randy, throughout the show, we always get fans that email us questions, send us questions on Facebook. And I had a fan question here for you. Comes from Malcolm in Santa Monica, California. Do you and Boss still have the Legends Gym in Hollywood? And if so, are you guys out there much? You ever there?
No, unfortunately, the Legends Gym doesn't exist anymore. When Boss and I teamed up and started Legends with Jeremy Lappin and Chris, it wasn't short time thereafter that Boss moved to Thousand Oaks and kind of opened his own gym, and I moved to Vegas and opened Extreme Couture, and we both kind of divested in Legends, and it hung around for quite a while after that with Chris and some of the other guys in the LA area, but ultimately it's a tough gym market and didn't do well. And so unfortunately, Legends isn't around anymore. But
Well, that's that one. What's the next one, Jeremy? Are you there? Well, anyway,
I'm
my
here.
co-host. Okay. What are you
I'm
doing?
here.
There he is.
I was disconnected for just a brief second, and I hate when that happens.
I was ready. I was.
Well, thanks for covering my acorns, Dave.
I got you, homie. I got you.
Well,
go ahead.
Randy, sorry about that. As I mentioned, we always get these fan questions, and every now and again we also get callers to call in. And I was just wondering if maybe you had a brief second to take a caller.
Sure, absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Chris my producer, he didn't give me their name, so I'm just going to ask. This is Big Perm and the Butcher. You're on live with us and Randy, the Natural Couture. Who are we talking to?
This is Chris from Rock Island.
Well, hey, Chris, you got a question for the Natural?
Yeah, I do. What's up, Perm? Hey, Randy, I just was wondering, is there a certain personality that someone may have? Not necessarily their mentality. I understand everybody's out there to win and make everybody, their bitch or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But is there any kind of personality that seems to stick out more? Is like, can the funny guy be the badass in the group, or is it always, always the guy that's always intense and always has the vein popping out of his face?
No, actually, I think I don't know if there's one personality. Obviously, we're all individuals, and we all bring different things to the table that make us the unique athletes that we are. I think it is definitely a thinking man's game. It's not a mindless physical activity. So it takes a fairly intelligent person to properly apply the physical gifts that they've been given and to really kind of think their way through this sport. And so I think those are the guys that you tend to see that are successful. It boils down to having a passion and then being able to figure out the best approach. Each and every opponent you face, poses different problems, and you've got to solve those problems. And that takes, an array of mental abilities as well as physical abilities to get there.
Oh, yeah. Awesome.
Well, Chris, thanks for calling into the show, man, and for listening.
Thanks for having me on, man. It was good to talk to you guys.
You too, man.
Take care, and have a great night.
All right, later.
All right, Randy, after taking that call, our phone lines seem to be lighting up. You got time for one or two more?
Sure, of course.
All righty, cool. Thank you. I'm going to bring this next one on.
You never know.
You never know who might be calling in, man. You're on live with Big Perm and the Butcher and the Natural Randy Couture. Who's this?
Hey, you guys got me?
Yep, I got you. Who's this?
Hey, this is Rich.
Hey, Rich, you got a question?
Yeah. Hey, I was going to ask Mr. Couture, back to your high school and college wrestling days, what was your favorite takedown?
I had a pretty good low outside single and a pretty good high crotch on the other side, and those two kind of worked in concert together. If one wasn't there, the other one usually was. So, especially in high school, I was a single leg guy, and then in college, I had to develop an attack on the other side, and so the high crotch came along a lot more in college.
Yeah, did you have a little delay in between the high school and the college career?
Yeah, about 6 years. I was in the Army for 6 years, and they figured out pretty early on I could wrestle. I won some championships in Europe and stuff, wrestling over there, and so I started wrestling Greco and freestyle in the Army. Ended up as a soldier, as an alternate on the 88 Olympic team for Greco-Roman wrestling, and that's when the first college coaches started recognizing and wondering who the hell I was, because I hadn't been to college yet, and they realized I had 4 years of eligibility, and the phone started ringing.
Nice. Did you really want to make that Olympic team ever?
I was an alternate in 4 Olympic years, and especially in 92 and 96, I was the number one guy in the country at the time, and was the guy everybody expected to make those teams, and managed to take second in those two particular trials. So, and wrestling's one of those few sports where the alternates, the second place guys, don't get to compete. So, although I made the world team in 4 non-Olympic years, I never made the Olympic team and got to compete in the Olympics. But I think that's why at 34 I was still hungry and wanted to compete in mixed martial arts. I think if I'd have won my medal, I'd have been content to rest on those laurels and probably be coaching in a college somewhere right now instead of going on to compete in mixed martial arts. So things worked out.
Turning into a world champion and a big-time movie star.
Well, things always work out how they're supposed to.
There you go. I appreciate talking to you, sir. It's an honor.
Good, man. Have a great one.
Thank you.
Cool.
Well, thanks again, Rich, for calling into the show. And we're going to move on down the line. I got one more lined up here. I'm going to hit the microphone and see if I can get this thing to work. There we go. You're on live with Big Perm and the Butcher and Randy the Natural Couture. Who's this?
This Steve.
Oh, evening, Steve.
What's up?
Steve Johnson. How's it going? Am I on?
You're on, bud.
Steve.
Okay. Hey, Randy Couture, first and foremost, I would like to say what an honor and a pleasure it is to talk to UFC pioneer and legend in the sport, dude.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Oh, my God. You know what I mean? I was a Sylvia fan, Tim Sylvia, back when he whooped his ass. And I honestly lost like $500 when you fucking kicked the shit out of him. Because I'm from the Quad City area. I'm from the Quad City area where dude fucking trains in Militech, you know what I mean? So I'm like, oh, dude, someone's going to kick his ass. Fuck no. You came and beat the shit out of him. And he's very sad. Was very sad, needless to say. But, I got three questions for you, dude. 3 questions. I'm a great fan of you since, beat the shit out of a local hero down there. But
fire away.
So, who's your favorite up-and-comer in any division? I don't know, just make their shot for the title, I guess.
You know what? I've been real impressed. I got the chance the last couple of years to train with Mike Chandler, who's become the champ over in the Bellator fighting. And the guy was an All-American wrestler in Missouri, tremendous competitor, and amazing work ethic that guy has. I mean, he is a stud. So I've been real impressed with him.
Yeah.
Your next question?
Yeah. So, question number 2. Who do you think is the most promising heavyweight to challenge Kane? I mean, I know you are a big Kane, advocate. I've seen you on, TV, talk about, he's going to be in the sport for a long time, because he's a dominant wrestler like you once were. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's got, and I think what it is the cardio more than anything that makes him amazing. But he's got your same work ethic, the same style, you know what I mean? But, I mean, who else is left? I mean, he beat the shit out of Kane. And Kane, everyone knows Kane caught him with the lucky one. You know what I mean? And they came back and showed him what type of fighter he really was and completely dominated the dude. I mean, he just grappled him.
He was very impressive in that win against Junior, and I like Junior. Junior's a nice guy, and he's a hell of a competitor as well. But I think if Junior had a glaring weakness, it was the wrestling, the lack of wrestling ability to transition and put guys on the ground if he needs to. He kind of lives and dies by his fists and feet, and sooner or later you're going to run into somebody who's going to point that glaring weakness out to you, and I think that's what we saw with Kane. Coming in, firing on all cylinders, healthy, smart game plan, stuck to it, and has showed why I think he's going to be the top dog in that division for quite a while.
And that's what I was thinking too. It also showed to me was like the dude could actually take a punch. He got clipped, obviously. Back of the head, that's a, tough spot to get. But it's like I had a bet with my cousin, I bet a lot, obviously. But I was with my cousin. He was like, fuck no, Kane ain't got no chin. Fucking dude dropped him last time. He has no chin. Which, he did get dropped by, what's that fellow, like 3 times, came back and won with, the takedowns and whatnot. But he showed that he could actually have a chin. And I had an argument with this dude at the bar the other night. He's like, no, Kane ain't got no chin. He's going to lose. I'm like, bet me $20. No one wanted to bet me. And then Kane dominated him. I was very impressed.
Hey, you got one more question.
It's just the old Roman wrestler. Oh, yeah.
Steve, you got
one more. Hey, I'm sorry. I love talking to legend. I'm sorry.
Oh, this is fun.
But, okay. So, who, in your opinion, this is a good one, reminds you of yourself in your prime, when you were most impressive in your opinion? who reminds you the most of yourself when you were doing it? I mean, obviously, dude, you were doing it till you were fucking, you know, like last year. I'm sure you're still doing it. But you know what I mean? In your prime, in your opinion. In your opinion, your prime.
I did it for a long time, and I probably did it longer than anybody's going to do it for a while. I retired at almost 48. So
amazing.
I don't know.
Your prime was so long.
You don't see a lot of guys that fight out of the clinch and use the clinch effectively and fight in a dirty box and fight inside like I tried to do a lot of times.
Not enough.
I was fortunate to have been exposed to the high level to Greco-Roman wrestling, and I think of all the wrestling styles, it's a very applicable style to MMA because of the upright posture and because of the clinch work. I think that and Muay Thai are the two best styles for clinch work. You're seeing more guys focus on Thai and throwing elbows, especially. We're seeing that more and more. I mean, you saw even Mighty Mouse throw some nice elbows last Saturday in Chicago on the clinch. You see John Jones do it consistently.
I thought Glover Teixeira did good work from the clinch against Rampage, too.
I think Rampage is just old and washed up, I think, in my opinion. I think he had his time.
Yeah,
I don't know. I love Rampage.
He was in good shape for that fight. Glover Teixeira showed up and showed why he belongs where he's at.
Yeah, he stayed right in Rampage's wheelhouse and gave him everything he wanted right back. And I don't know that I agree that Rampage is washed up, but I think he's had some struggles the last couple of years, outside of the cage, and some of those things will catch up with you eventually. So I think he's still a tremendous fighter.
His style anymore. His style anymore. He throws no more kicks. Like, he's an amazing wrestler from what I heard. And he just doesn't utilize every aspect of his ability, I think. You know what I mean? Like, from what I hear, he's a great wrestler and all that.
Yeah, he was a very, very good wrestler. He wrestled
and he just doesn't utilize it anymore.
He claims that his wrestling background in high school wrestling coach are what saved his life and got him off the street. So
right.
I would agree.
I don't think he's washed up, but I think you don't utilize all his talents that the guy's got. Hey, but
I would agree with that.
Listen, two more predictions. Who you got in the Jones and Sonnen fight? Jones and Sonnen. Who you got, Randy?
I like Sonnen. I think that.
You know what? I bet.
Hello?
Oh, looks like we lost our caller, Steve.
That happened.
I was gonna jump in there and cut him off, but he got cut off like me.
That call brought to you by Jameson Whiskey. Jameson Whiskey, ladies and gentlemen.
We have some of the craziest fans, man. Goodness. Well, Randy, listen, I just have a couple more fan questions for you, man.
Okay. No call.
From Rick out in Flagstaff, Arizona. Rick asks, he says, nothing against him because I think he's a great person, but why do you feel confident that Dennis Davis can run your gym out of everyone else that's out there? Why'd you pick Dennis?
Well, first of all, Dennis doesn't run the gym. He runs the MMA practices, and he's specifically the amateur coach. He's leading those young amateur guys and bringing them along and developing their talent so that at some time they can make the transition to the pro ranks. Dennis is a longtime friend, almost as long as I've been in the sport. He followed me down from Oregon, used to train with us up at Team Quest. I watched and helped him develop, and he was a pretty formidable fighter, but I don't think the fact that he was maybe never a top world champion or anything like that matters. I think I know a lot of guys that never fought that are fantastic coaches. Being a coach is a giving kind of very selfless position, and Dennis is super at it. So I as well as his personality, I think technically he has a great understanding of the sport. So that is why I have confidence in him.
Yeah, he was a great interview too. He was a good guy to talk to.
He is a good guy.
Yeah, I had a blast talking with Dennis. It was a good time. Well, our last fan question comes from Finn out in North Providence, Connecticut. Finn asks, what was the experience like being on the TV show Pros versus Joes? The episode that you were on was my favorite.
Well, it was a lot of fun, and certainly the challenge that they set up where they had the Joes get in the cage was one that a lot of people liked, and I think in a lot of ways showcased the skill sets that we as mixed martial artists bring to our sport. And then for me, the most fun though was getting to put on football pads and get on the field. I hadn't worn football pads since I was 18 years old in high school, and to get on the field with Bruce Smith in football pads and tackle dudes, on the goal line stance was so much fun.
Oh yeah,
I had an absolute blast.
Oh yeah, man. Well, listen, we've got a few minutes left with you. I've taken a little longer than I wanted to, but I noticed some on your website today, totally not fight related at all. For maybe about 10 days ago, Randy launched his cologne. You've got a new fragrance.
Yeah, the Extreme Couture fragrance. We've been a year in developing this, and finally got our first shipments in this month, and they hit the marketplace. We're working, with Affliction and some of our distribution partners and outlets to get it out to the general public. Took me some time to research and kind of come up with of a partner, Dina, that helped me kind of narrow down and figure out what smells I liked and what cologne. Obviously isn't going to smell like Jim, but
right.
I think it came out great. I'm really happy with the bottle and the box, and just the whole thing is pretty cool.
I was looking at it here on your website, and I just thought that was just awesome, man. I might have to go get me some. Check it out.
Yeah, I hope you like it. I like it. It wears well. It's clean and has some pheromone technology in there, so we'll be beating the girls off with a stick.
Hell yeah.
Panty dropper. Anyway, I'll tell you, man, this has been a complete load of fun for me. I mean, the callers were especially interesting, to say the least. I want to thank Chris Maltsburger for setting this interview up. I mean, have you had a good time, Randy? Yeah,
absolutely.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what, at this time also I'd like to give you a chance to give out any websites people can get a hold of you, and anybody that wants to try to get on one of the best MMA teams in the country and try out. I know some guys from Michigan already have gone out there, and they probably come from all over the country to train there. How do people get a hold of you, and any other things you'd like to plug?
You can go to extremecouture.tv for the gym website. We keep an open gym here in Vegas. We get people coming from all over the world to train, and some guys just for their training camps, some guys for our quarterly camps. We do a quarterly camp that's usually advertised on the website as well. People come in for the weekend to Vegas to train with us. So we get a lot of folks in, and it's a great facility, and like I said, I've got an amazing staff. So
awesome. Well, Randy, here as we wrap this up, I just really wanted, for me and Dave and Chris, our producer, and our fans that are listening, just want to say thanks to you again for taking the time tonight. And we wish you the best of luck with the gym and also in Ryan's career. And we definitely look forward to having you back on the show, man. I know I had a freaking blast.
Well, thanks. I appreciate it. It's an honor to be the 100th guest, and it was a lot of fun.
Awesome. Well, you take care, sir, and you have a great night.
You bet. You too.
Bye now. All righty, Dave, you still with me, brother man?
Yeah, that was Randy Couture, dude.
Hell yeah, baby, and we survived Steve.
Yeah, what that was great.
Oh, my goodness, and definitely, that segment was definitely brought to you by Jameson Whiskey.
But honestly, let's plug our real sponsors now.
Absolutely. Each and every week, gang, this show is brought to you by Intimidation Clothing, intimidationclothing.com, and, of course, Tri-County Cab Company of Peoria, Illinois, TriCountyCabCompany.com. Two great sponsors that, stellar companies like